regular season Group A action, and it's the clash between Banvit and UCAM Murcia. Well, both of these teams have a lot of ambition, a lot of aspirations to make their mark in the Basketball Champions League this season. They've certainly had some wonderful moments. We'll talk more about that in a second. Group A action this week on game day 7 sees Nizhny Novgorod going up against MHP Riesen Lewisburg, Le Mans at Anvil Wrocław, and Sidigas Avelino at home to Ventspils. Those other 3 games will be played tomorrow, but Group A starts off here in Turkey, and a couple of, shall we say, almost emblematic teams in this Basketball Champions League. Both of them have made it to the Basketball Champions League Final Four. Last year it was UCAM Murcia, and then of course in year 1 it was Banvit who made it all the way to the final before losing to Iberostar Tenerife. Right now the Group A standings have Banvit in 3rd place at 4-2, and then right 1 game above them UCAM Murcia, who are right above Sidigas Avelino, even though they both have the same record. So a win tonight sees Banvit at least join UCAM Murcia, but UCAM Murcia will be eager to put last week's disappointment behind them. They were unbeaten and going up against a team that hadn't won a game in the competition, MHP Riesen Lewisburg, and they lost that one 81-80. So they'll be looking to get back to winning ways. UCAM Murcia, Edu Duran, Ertasan, Alberto Martin, Charlon Clough, Damian Rudas, Brad Olesen, Emilio Martinez, Emmanuel Cache, Marcos Delia, Kevin Tumba, Sario Rojas, and Askia Booker. The coach is Javier Juarez. So a very talented team, but so is this Banvit outfit, which relies so much on young players and impressive young players, and they do a great job of helping develop these young Turkish players, particularly Karagule, Zero, little point guard, will come in and play some. Alex Perez, the Mexico international. Ismail Jim Ulusoy, Devin Oliver, Erkan Osmani, Tolga Geçim, Jordan Morgan, Rudvan Onchai, Medahan Akiel, Seamus Hazish, Rakib Attar, and Mackenzie Moore play for coach Ahmet Gurgen. So we talk about the teenagers and we talk about those youngsters. Karagule, just 19 years of age. Ulusoy, the point guard, just 22 years of age. Geçim, just 22 years of age. Osmani, 20 years of age. And Rudvan Onchai is 21 years of age. And both Seamus Hazish and Rakib Attar are 19. So, and Erkan Sanel as well, the shooting guard. So Turkey's youngsters getting a lot of minutes. But for UCAM Murcia, as we see them being introduced here, it's a talented team. And don't forget, they came within a whisker of making it to the final last year. They really pushed Ike Athens all the way to the finish. They ended up winning the 3rd place game against MHP Riesen Lewisburg. And this is a Murcia team that clearly has the potential to make it back to the Final Four. But having the potential and actually doing it are 2 different things. And they know how easily things can go off the rails. Certainly no one expected them to lose last week, and they did become MHP Riesen Lewisburg's first victims of the season. Here's Karagule coming out, being introduced here to the crowd, and the rest of these young and impressive Banvit players who, if you want to say, describe their opener as the defining game of at least their first half of the season, I think you wouldn't be too far wrong, because they were being demolished at home against MHP Riesen Lewisburg. They charged back from a huge deficit and won that one 89-76. And since that point, they've been pretty solid. They won at home over Le Mans. They lost at Ventspils. Then they rebounded with a win over Nizhny Novgorod at home convincingly. They lost by 4 at Sidigas Avelino, no disgrace there. And then last week they won at home over Anvil. There's Juarez and Gergen shaking hands, two intelligent men in their profession, and I think that will be borne out tonight as they trade blows. And for Murcia, we'll just go over their results. They started out with a 12-point home win over Le Mans, and then they beat Ventspils by 6 at home in La Hamburguesa. Excuse me, not in La Hamburguesa, down in Murcia. UCAM Murcia won 72-51 at Nizhny Novgorod. UCAM Murcia won 72-69 at home over Sidigas Avelina, and then they hammered Anvil, but then they lost last week. So the referees, Lorenzo Baldini, Boris Krejic, and Wojciech Lichka from Italy, Slovenia, and Poland. Good look at the starting five for UCAM Murcia tonight. Charlan Clough, Brad Olesen, Marcos Delia, the Argentinian international, Sadiel Rojas of the Dominican Republic international, actually from Texas. And it's as always, a competitive starting five that Javier Juarez is going to put on the floor. But remember, it's not who starts, but who finishes. That's what really counts. And we've already seen Clough come out and be one of the best players in this competition this season. It's interesting to see Olsen in that starting five. There's Alex Perez, Devin Oliver, Tolga Gachim, Jordan Morgan, and Mackenzie Moore. And you have to say that probably Jordan Morgan on that team of players, if you were to have the five deserving players that haven't made the All-Star 5 at least once, or the team of the week at least once, he would be on it. There's Ahmet Gergen, the head coach. And he has his fingers on the pulse in Turkey. He actually coached at the Under-17 World Cup last summer in Argentina, the Turkey national team that was there, the youth team. We're talking about Murcia. They actually play at the Palacio de los Deportes. La Hamburguesa, which I mentioned a minute ago, is the home court of Iberostar Tenerife. But UCAM Murcia actually do play at La Hamburguesa when they square off against Tenerife in the Spanish league. So both coaches putting their teams through their final paces here and making sure that they're all on the same page. And just looking at Clough there, I have to say it reminded me, seeing him tonight, he made the team of the week a couple of weeks ago. And then he was the guest on the weekly podcast on the Basketball Champions League, which is such a good piece to listen to if you want to get an update on what has happened throughout that week or throughout that game day. So I would encourage you to log in and listen to those, because you'll hear a lot of interesting interviews. I know they started off the season with a John Patrick interview, the coach of MHP Reason. And Clough was asked about all of the mustaches that all of the players were wearing in that UCAM Murcia team. And you look at Ertasan tonight, he's certainly got a lot of facial hair. And I thought it had something to do with Movember. Movember being a month where you try to raise awareness to men's health issues by growing a mustache. But in fact, he just said it was something that caught on in practice. And all of a sudden, one player had a mustache, and it really caught the eye, so everybody started growing mustaches, including Cache, Emmanuel Cache. So Murcia trying to bounce back from last week's narrow 1-point defeat. And there's Clough getting the final instructions. He was in that team, as were several of these other UCAM Murcia players that played in last year's team that made it to the Final Four. And they have been through the war, so to speak, in the Basketball Champions League. They know what this is going to be like here at Banvit. But Banvit have also been through the wars. They've made it to the playoffs. Obviously, the final the first year. They made it into the postseason last year. Didn't make it all the way back to the Final Four, but nevertheless, this is a club that has a rich tradition of success. Now, most of those players are gone. Some of the Turkish players still around, but at Banvit, they know how to recruit players and bring in some good ones and put them on the map. The likes of Alex Perez, for example, and also here in Europe, and Jordan Morgan. People knew him already, but he's really raising his profile. Well, good evening, folks. This is the Basketball Champions League, and we are in Bandırma, Turkey. And it's the first game here of the day, tipping off. And Rojas goes baseline. Oliver reaches in, knocks it away. So it'll be Banvit possession. The ball went off of Rojas. Remember, this is a Group A game. Geçim loses control of it, but Oliver. Now Perez. Geçim gets it back. And Geçim drives in and banks it in. Well, he got the rim and backboard, but he'll take it. Clough gets in the lane, lays it up and in. Explosive move already from the Netherlands international, Charlan Clough. Morgan goes to work on D'Elia. And D'Elia, Argentina international, as I said, has big-time national team experience. I think he's taken a step up from what I've been able to tell this year. He's played well. Kevin Tumba also in that starting lineup, so a couple of twin towers. And then flying in for the rebound. Sadio Rojas kept it alive. And then Oliver reached in and fouled Tumba. Again, another player who's kind of taken it to a different level this year is that man right there, Tumba. That was Clough driving down the lane. So free throws were not awarded because he was not in the shooting motion. As Clough drives in again. This time, rejected. Not in my house, says Jordan Morgan. Moore over to Perez, drives in, lays it up, and there for the tap in is Oliver. And even though if you're a Banvit fan, you'd like to see Perez make that, it's a good sign to see Oliver get in there and get the tap in. You want to get him involved as early as possible. Olesen now, the veteran, hands it off to Clough, who's looking, puts it up mid-range. And the drive and the foul. Nope, traveling was the call. Here it is again. Clough driving in and getting, just not even close. Now watch Perez, should have made that. He didn't make it, but then nobody boxed out Oliver. Moore playing the D. Olesen goes off 1 foot. He is silky smooth. And he looks over at the ref to say, hey, you got me on the wrist, ref. Come on. Another drive, and again, this time is Morgan flying in for the miss. Doesn't control it, though, and Olesen has it. Now Olesen dribbles it back into D'Elia. Rojas drills the three-pointer right in front of his bench. He is the emotional leader of this UConn Murcia team. There's no doubt about it. Plays with his heart on his sleeve. Now the drive, and an unsportsmanlike has been called on Rojas. The foul, I think, had already been called. But it looked like he raked him on the arm, and that's why they've called it. Didn't really get the ball, make the play on the ball, or it could have been excessive. So he hits the 3-1, and watch this. Well, I think that's a bit harsh, to be honest, on Sadio Rojas. He did play the ball. He came down, and maybe the referee thought he came down hard on his arm or something, but I didn't think that was a tough call. So Moore at the free throw line, makes the first one. Didn't start the season here with Banvit, 26 years of age. And this is the second free throw, but because of the unsportsmanlike foul, they're going to maintain possession. Been around. He's actually played in New Zealand. Mackenzie Moore, Nelson, this is New Zealand, also Canterbury Rams. He was at Prometheus Patras 2016, 2017, a team that has lit the Basketball Champions League up this season. Wonderful story. Lavrio and Aptador Saratov earlier this year. And here's the drive, and Moore lays it up and in. So it's a three-point trip down the floor for Moore. Olesen for three, good. Well, Brad Olesen's been around, folks. He is the personification of a gym rat. You know, he spent all of his time as a youth probably in the gym. And nice answer again, this time for Banvit to get it back to within one. Moore with 5 points in a row. Now Clough puts it up from a long way out, and Morgan flies in for the rebound. Getchim. Oh, beautiful pass, Tolga Getchim to Morgan, who missed it badly. Now Charlon Clough. Clough drives in. Well, 4-point swing there, folks. Nice answer for Clough. Getchim from the right, and the three-pointer gets it back to a one-point game. Well, good, powerful move from Kevin Tumba. And he will go to the line as well. And that is a good call. Morgan lowering his left arm there and gets some contact. If he raises his arm straight up, he's okay there. And Sadio Rojas goes out. He says, man, I can't believe they called the unsportsmanlike. What was that all about? Look at Ertasan with that. That is a serious mustache he's got going now. Here's Tumba. So 15-12 now. Ilkay Murthy back on top, and this figures to be a close game, folks. I'd be awfully surprised if this one didn't go to the wire. Getchim feeds down low, Devin Oliver. But a foul called before the shot. And Oliver frustrated, thinking he might get a three-point play opportunity. Drive. And the basket is good from Perez. So the Mexico international gets that deficit back to 1. Good shooting for both teams here at the start. Clough puts it up from deep. Olsen was looking like, give it back to me. So Clough picks up the foul. And that is an interesting matchup there with Perez and Clough is going to go out, and Booker now comes into the contest. Morgan inside to Morgan, and Morgan gets it to go. Good strong move. Could be more of that coming. Bamford back in front. And the foul by Getchim over there on the baseline. So D'Elia checks out and Rudes comes into the game. Here's Olesen. Oh, wide open, like shooting free throws for him. And he just drills it all night long. Olsen still barking at the ref, saying there should have been a foul call. I think you just got to play, Bradley. Timeout on the floor by Bamford. Good shooting for both teams. Well, we've already seen Olesen, what he does well. Seen it a couple of times tonight, a couple of threes. Now he's going to talk to the ref. Look at him. Well, think Santa Claus when you think about Olesen's high school, because he went to the North Pole High School. North Pole, Alaska. Went to Peninsula College, 2001, 2002, and also Alaska Fairbanks. And as a pro, since he's come to Europe, he's been in Spain the whole time. And the drive and ball knocked out of the hands of Tolga Getchim. So it'll be Bamford ball. He's played, again, that was a good play by Booker there. Olsen's played at Fuenlabrada, Caja Laboral, or Baskonia, Barcelona, and now with Murcia. And the drive goes up. Oh, the foul called. Oliver fouled by Tumba. Watch this. And Urtasun went down. And that is, you know, in my opinion, flirting with a flop, Urtasun. Oliver at the stripe. And this is the first one badly. So the 1-of-2 effort puts Murcia back on top by 1. Rudes feeds the beast down low, Kevin Tumba. Now Booker has it. Over to Olesen. Olesen down low, banks it in. I tell you, if you are a youngster wanting to know how to play the game of basketball, you should just sit down and watch Brad Olesen. He is fun to watch. And now the foul called on Olesen. So 2 shots coming for Banvit as Murcia already over the limit. And Brad Olsen is going to have to leave the game. Yeah, that's definitely a foul. Got his right hand wrapping up Oliver, who looks like he's going to have an adventure tonight every time he goes to the free throw line. And sort of a little bit out of sorts in the Basketball Champions League, Oliver. And misses both. So he's off to a nightmare start at the free throw line tonight. Rudes has his pass taken away by Hazes. Seamus Hazes drives in, did a great job, knew the foul was coming, put it up, and goes to the free throw line, fouled by Edu Duran. Seamus Hazes, one of those players that's logged a lot of minutes for Turkey's youth teams, and probably just a matter of time before he gets his opportunity to play for the senior team. I think probably if Turkey qualified for the World Cup, it's going to come too early for him, but you never know. That'll be staged next year in China. What an event that's going to be. Seamus Hazes puts it up and in. Ulusoy in the game, Geçim in the game. You can see why especially Turkish fans would be very interested in this Banvit team, because it is a team that gives those Turkish youngsters a chance to play. There's Booker driving in. Oh, tough shot. Uses the glass, absorbs the contact. Ulusoy looks for an opening. He goes in and had a chance. Morgan gets the rebound, puts it up and in. And Morgan, I tell you, he takes up a lot of space in there. He's strong, and he scores with a putback. Edu Duran over to Urtasun. Urtasun drives in. Tumba with the rebound. Edu Duran off the back of the iron. Boy, Morgan almost tapped it back up and in. Now Rudes puts it up from deep. And Murcia getting their chances. Tumba earning a living down low now with all those rebounds. Edu Duran drives in with a little runner, and he was short. Murphy just couldn't put the ball in the basket. They had plenty of opportunities. Perez over to Getchim. Morgan once again, the offensive rebound, but then he fumbles it away, gets it back. And that is how the first quarter comes to an end. So we've got a good one, folks. 22-21, UQAM Murcia on top of Banvit here in the Basketball Champions League at the end of the first quarter. So the numbers pretty good offensively. Murcia 6 of 12 inside the arc, 3 of 6 from deep, 3 of 6 from deep, and Banvit 7 of 12 inside the arc. The big difference would be at the free throw line. Banvit just 4 of 8, and of course the name Devin Oliver comes into play. That is where he has struggled tonight, making just 1 of 4 free throws. Also Mackenzie Moore was 1 of 2 on his trip to the line. Oliver came in actually shooting just 42.9% at the free throw line. So for whatever reason, that has become an issue with him. And it's the type of thing as a basketball player, you know, you could go through a season-long shooting slump at the free throw line. And it's just something that you've got to work on. Remember Felipe Reyes, for example, the former Spain international, longtime Real Madrid player. That was a part of his game that wasn't very good at the start of his career, and then he continued to work at it, and he became a really good, really competent free throw shooter. So it can be done, but it takes work. And a lot of it is mental. Second quarter action underway. And the boos and hisses now. Seamus Hodges almost coming up with his second steal already. Duran puts it up, misses. And some of that ball movement seems to be missing right now for UQAM Murcia. Ulusoy brings it up. What about Booker? Just falls down. Now Booker has a free one. What's he going to do? He's just going to fly up and dunk it. Nothing sensational, but he gets up high enough just to let you know that he's got some hops. Interesting that we haven't seen Rudvan Unjai tonight. He plays point guard as well. There's Seamus Hodges driving in and earns the trip to the free throw line, and the foul called on Kache. And that is where, again, Seamus Hodges has got to do better. He knows the contact is coming. He almost seeks it out, and he's just got to try to finish it. He'll get a potential three-point play. You see Attar in the game now as well. Another 19-year-old for Banvit, number 35. And also checking in for Banvit, coming back into the game now, is Mackenzie Moore, number 94. And free throw woes continue for Banvit, who came into this game as a team shooting 68.1%. Seamus Hodges makes 1 of 2, makes the second. So back to a 2-point game. Booker brings it up. Reach and a foul called. And they get it to Kache, the Romanian international. Didn't catch it cleanly, so he brought it back out. Now Booker has it and tries to get the alley-oop, but good defense from Banvik. Moore, and his bounce pass not collected by Oliver. Turnovers for Murcia. That was the 4th turnover for Banvik. Rudish from the left. It's good. Seeing more and more signs of him coming to life with that three-point shot that has really made him famous in his career. He's struggled since he came back from the NBA last season. Moore says, I got you. He puts it up. And he gets it back to a 3-point game. There's Booker. Early in a very promising professional career himself. And Attar trying to deny the ball to Kache. He's called for his foul. You saw him hook Kache, or you don't know who hooked who there. But anyway, he was penalized. Osmani checking into the game. Osmani replaces Attar. Rotusson drives in and uses the glass to good effect. Now the three-pointer. And Ulusoy knocks it back to Oliver, who just missed the three. Now Ulusoy puts it up. And Oliver collects the long rebound. Now quickly inside, and Osmani misses the dunk. Well, that might make the blooper of the week. Here we go. Osmani. You don't like to miss the dunks. Booker steps back, short. Now Oliver, quick outlet to Ulusoy. Ulusoy quickly to the middle. Osmani says, you're not gonna see me miss this one. I might miss one, but I'm not gonna miss 2 in a row, he says. Rudish again, that was short. And the Banvik fans in full force right now. And Moore fouled by Duran. Edu Duran looks over at his coach and says, no way. But it looked like he made clear contact here. I mean, wasn't bad. That was the dunk from Osmani. And Duran goes to the bench. Looked like there was enough contact. Now, there is Olsson, almost twice the age of Seamus Hazish, imparting some wisdom. You see that from Murcia over to the young man? He says, take it from me, kid. This is the life. If you could play basketball for a living, don't stop until you have to. I'm 35 and I'm still playing. And here's Moore. Makes the second, so he'll get a third. He can tie it up here. So very promising situation here for Banvik. And all three are good from Mackenzie Moore. Rotasan drives in, and this time the ball rattles out. Moore and Olesen reached in, knocked it away, but then Hazes fouled Olesen. Olesen feeds Emmanuel Kache, who turns. Wow. He just took Osmani to school there, folks. Good footwork from Kache. Oliver explodes in the lane. And the ball knocked out of his hands. Morgan coming back into the game. Good reach from Damian Rudish. Rotasan comes out of the game, as does Osmani. Morgan back in for Banvit. Sadil Rojas back in for Murcia. Moore, with the shot clock winding down, goes off 1 foot, little step back. Booker drives, alley-oop. Oh, that is top 5 material right there, folks. Wonderful play. I'm sure we'll see it again. Well, I guess we won't see it. Banvit 8 of 13, leaving a lot of free throws out there. And Banvit in a little bit of struggle. Listen, folks, if you want to follow all the action, go to championsleague.basketball. Look at the rebounding. Banvit edging that one right now, 14-11. So you go to championsleague.basketball after tomorrow night's game, say Thursday, and you'll see the team of the week. And look at this play right here. I mean, that is just simple, but they know it's coming. Great cut to the basket. He goes up for what looks like a pick and then rolls to the basket. It was kind of a soft screen and roll, pick and roll. And Booker intelligent enough to know that if he just throws the ball near the rim, Kache is going to go up with it. Okay, Murcia just showing how good they are. Hitting the road, winning by 4 right now at Banvit. Hostile territory. This is not an easy place to win a basketball game. If you, even if you come from Spain's top flight, one of the top leagues in Spain. Nice play by Kache, knocking it away into the hands to Booker. Gives it over to Olesen. And Banvit's Perez gets back and puts Olesen off of his shot. Olesen wisely holds on. Booker, bounce pass to Rojas, doesn't control it, the ball bouncing around. Look at him hustle, and it ends up being Moore, and then Moore has it knocked out of his hands by Rojas. Look at this. I mean, what a sequence. How many times do we see players getting on the floor, reaching, knocking the ball away right when they thought they had it? Okay, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Now he says, I've got it. 5, 6. It's a beautiful game of basketball, but sometimes you struggle picking the ball up off of the hardwood. .355 remaining in the first half. Referees want to go over to the courtside table and check something out. So I don't know if it's a timing issue or there's the Rojas, the foul clearly on Ulusoy. So the ball inbounded, and it's back to what we were just experiencing as Ruud van Onjaai comes in, almost gets the steal. Rudes over to Rojas for three. Great effort. Look at Kache battle for the ball. What a play by Kache. Gets the ball to Rojas, and then it's back to the team scrapping for the ball, and it's Ruud van Onjaai. Then pulling up on the break. And more. So it was Ulusoy who missed from deep. And then I think, was it, I'm not sure who it was, Rudes who knocked it away. Booker flies in, lays it up and in. Six points for Askia Booker. Now Moore tries to answer. And great defense again by Rudes, but the ball goes to Oliver. And he puts up a brick, it goes out of bounds. Olsen comes out. Looks like Perez has to wear something up his nostril with some blood, perhaps. Morgan misses the jump shot from behind the free throw line. Booker. Rudes for three, front and back at rim. And goes off of Rojas. Perez over to Oliver, pulls up at the line, and Oliver reaches in and commits the foul. And just offensively, Oliver is just really struggling right now. You can see it. And that reach puts Murphy on the free throw line. Second foul for Devin Oliver. 1 of 5 from the floor tonight. Got 3 rebounds. But his efficiency right now is -1. The same with Alex Perez and Jim Ulusoy. So Charlamagne Plouffe benefits by going to the line and makes the first one. So they do not completely take complete advantage. They can make 1 of 2, and it's back to Banvit. Facing their biggest deficit of the game right now, 7 points. Kache has made a huge difference since he's come into the game. But that time, called for a foul on Morgan. So Kache comes out of the game. They've got a good one in Kache, number 15. Kevin Tumba comes back. So you got the D'Elia and Tumba Twin Towers. Evan Oliver falls. And now a foul called on Booker. Osmani comes back in. Oliver, you like all the energy that he brings. And, you know, you have to live with his fouls because he's going to gamble defensively. But you just wish he could pick it up offensively a little bit. And a foul, another foul called. Foul called on Sadio Rojas. Three fouls, so that's a big one. Sadio Rojas. So they're over the limit, and his free throws now for Jordan Morgan. .146 remaining here in this first half. Well, they seem to be unhappy with some of the moisture on the court. But eventually, oh, goodness me. Player safety is paramount. You don't want any slippages out there and getting some broken bones for either team. Talking about Oliver's struggles coming in, he was against Anvil last week, not too bad. He was 4 of 6 inside the arc. He missed all 3 of his threes. Week before that, it was 2 of 5 against Sidigas Avellino. There's Morgan. But against Nizhny Novgorod on game day 3, he was 0 for 8 from the floor. So he has had his struggles. Morgan makes the second. And we haven't seen Akio come in. I think he's another good player for Banvard. Booker. Shot clock down to 9. Urtasun. Shot clock about to expire, so Urtasun has to put it up, and he hits a 3. Well, that was a perfect scenario for the visitors. Shot clock went all the way down. Now, good defense from Tumba. He saw the alley-oop pass coming. And now Banvard appealing for possession. And the referee says, I had the best angle in the house. But I agree with I agree with Banvard. Looked like it went out of bounds off of Murthia. So timeout on the floor. Timeout Murthia. Olesen with 10 points, Booker 6, Urtasun with 5. Moore has 10 points, Morgan 6, and Gachim 5. Look at Ertassan, looks up at the shot clock and says, I've got to launch one. So he puts up kind of what might be described as a crazy three-pointer and made the shot. So just under a minute to go here in the first half. Ertassan again for three. Good! Starting to feel it. 41-31 now is the score. Biggest lead of the game for UCAM Murcia. Morgan has it taken away by Clough. Clough looks up ahead. And Murcia landing the telling blows here at the end of the first half, especially with Ertassan. Now the ball knocked away by Moore, and he goes in. Oh, it's going to be an unsportsmanlike. 2 points and possession. What is Tumba doing? He just complicates things in that situation. A clear push. It's just, I guess they're just moments when a player just loses his concentration and does something he just knows that he should not do. Tumba shakes his head, says, I can't believe I did that. And you can only have a couple of those before you get ejected out of the game. You can have that and then a technical and get ejected as well. And I don't know if they want to check to make sure that it was unsportsmanlike. Pretty obvious in live play that it was. So they want to get all three referees over there. My only thing is I don't want to take too long on this. I like the replays. I like the fact that you want to get it right. And in the end, that's what really matters. But on the other hand, you don't want to just create these long periods where the game becomes, you know, start, stop, start, stop. And it just, fans are eager to get some popcorn and come back out and watch the second half. And now they want to look at it again. So it just kind of illustrates. Let's see what they're going to say. Oh, they're going to eject him. They've ejected him from the game. So a clear push. Well, I didn't think it was that bad. So the ball will be possession, it'll be free throws, and now UConn Murcia are without one of their bigs for the rest of the way. And Moore makes the first one. Just what the doctor ordered right now for Banvit, who are struggling. They'd fallen behind by double digits. There's our touchdown at the other end, drilling it from 3. But we've seen players ejected for 2 unsportsmanlikes and an unsportsmanlike and technical. And now we've seen one go for his first unsportsmanlike. And the drive and the pass to Perez, and just at the end, and Banvit will have to settle for the 2 free throws. So they go to halftime trailing by 9 points, 42-33. UConn Murcia on top. So Banvit 9 of 22, 41%. Inside the arc, 1 of 6. They've missed several free throws. UConn Murcia 11 of 22 inside the arc, but they've got the 6 3-pointers, and that is really the difference in the game, that 3-point line. Banvit out rebounding Murcia at this point. A couple more turnovers. And also see if we see any individual stats here. Yep. So Moore, 12 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists for Banvit. Olesen has the team high 10 points for Murcia. Tumba, who's now out of the game, has 6 rebounds. Olesen also with a couple of steals and a block. And Moore 3 turnovers, 2 turnovers for Rojas. So here's some of the highlights from the first half. Both teams having their bright moments and also some difficult moments. And right now you'd have to say that even with the loss of Tumba, that Murcia looked good bets to go ahead and win this game. But we've got 20 minutes to go. So I'm trying to double check and look back at the rulings here. I know that with the unsportsmanlike foul, the penalty is so. First of all, the unsportsmanlike foul is can be called when there's not a legitimate attempt to play the ball within the spirit and intent of the rules. Also, excessive hard contact calls by a player in an effort to play the ball or an opponent, and unnecessary contact calls by a defensive player in order to stop the progress of the offensive team in transition. This applies until the offensive player begins his act of shooting. Contact by the defensive player from behind or laterally on an opponent in an attempt to stop the fast break, and there is no defensive player between the offensive player and the opponent's basket. Also, contact by the defensive player on an opponent on the court during the last 2 minutes in the fourth quarter, and in each extra period when the ball is out of bounds for a throw-in and still in the hands of the official or at the disposal of the player taking the throw-in. So the penalty, so an unsportsmanlike foul will be charged against the offender, so in this case Tumba. Free throws shall be awarded to the player who was fouled, thus in this case Moore. And then a throw-in for the team that was fouled. Now, a player can be disqualified for the remainder of the game when he's charged with 2 unsportsmanlike fouls or with 1 technical foul and 1 unsportsmanlike foul. And I'm just wondering, maybe we missed a technical foul. We saw the disqualifying, well, it was called a disqualifying foul. So okay, so whenever a person has been disqualified and this foul is charged by the rules to the coach as a bench foul, the penalty shall be 2 free throws as with any other disqualifying foul. So anyway, folks, we're at halftime, and it is Murphy on top, 42-33. We'll be right back for the start of the second half. Well, second half action underway here in Van Diemen. I was just away to get some clarification on that call, and it was indeed because of the two fists shown by the referee in the air, an ejection for the dangerous play. So they deemed it to be a dangerous play, and that's how that could be a disqualifying foul on Kevin Tumba. But nevertheless, Banvit come out here with possession and start off the second half with the basket. So they trail by 7 points here against Murcia. That was Tolga Getchim. D'Elia turns in the lane, puts it up and in, and without Tumba, D'Elia now is his time to shine. And now the ball goes out of bounds. A little bit of miscommunication there with Perez and also Oliver. So again, revisiting right there at the end of the first half, Kevin Tumba fouled Moore from behind. He pushed him, he didn't play the ball, and also the referees had a good look at it, and they adjudged him to clearly committed the unsportsmanlike, and also to have pushed him so much that it was a dangerous play, and therefore he is disqualified. And so there's a lesson learned tonight for all of us. And now palming the ball on Perez. He had an easy drive and turned it over. Look at this. Almost a putback jam there by Clough. And Murcia back with possession. Olesen from the right and off the rim. Now Cache has it. And Perez reaches in, takes it away. Goes up behind the back pass to Oliver, down low to Moore. Maybe a mismatch guarded by Clough. Is he going to take him? Oh, beautiful pass by Moore to Morgan. He was patient, and he delivered a perfect bounce pass. Banville would like to see more of that. Booker. Beautiful control, but doesn't make the shot. Getchim with the rebound. The way that Banvit have come out here in the second half, looks like their coach has gotten into him a little bit in the changing rooms. And now Clough calls for the hold. And you saw that Booker was clearly out of bounds. That one was not noticed. It was noticed by our great cameraman down there and the director. And Getchim there in great position, but was short with the shot. Now quickly over to Olesen from the right. Now D'Elia turns, goes up with the left hand and scores. Moore again. And Morgan with the rebound. And the ball goes off of Morgan and back to Murthia. Kache does a great job defensively. Booker passes back to D'Elia. Plouffe has it, leans in, misses. D'Elia kept it alive, and Kache, kept it alive. But because the shot did not hit the rim, ball goes back over to the home side. Perez steps back, good! Tell you, I would go so far as to say when Perez gets it going, there might not be a better guard in the Basketball Champions League. He can almost take over games. Watch him. He's got the bit between the teeth right now. Here he is. We've seen it before, folks. He's a playmaker and a scorer when he needs to be. Now Oliver gets in, draws the contact from D'Elia. Too much wrong done by D'Elia that time. But good aggressive play from Oliver gets him to the free throw line, where, remember, he's had struggles tonight. And those struggles continue. He's had a season-long struggle. It used to be Gasper Vidmar here at Banvard that had all the free throw struggles, and now he's kind of passed the baton to Devin Oliver, who's now 1 of 5. But yeah, they will give him that, so he's 2 of 6. It's a 5-point game. Long way to go in this one. Olesen. Tolga Getchim picks up Bandit's first foul here in the second half. Rojas, and a good read there by Morgan to knock the ball away. Now D'Elia. Again, and Kache goes up for the rebound. Boy, he is tough inside, isn't he? Emmanuel Kache. Booker pulls it back out. Between the legs, shot clock for 3. Kache again gets the rebound. Now Olesen, and so many different bites at the cherry, and Olesen doesn't make it. Murthia somehow did not score that trip down the floor. And Moore drives hard to the basket, misses. Morgan kept it alive, but Booker chases it down in the corner. Now Booker, and the ball knocked away by Devin Oliver. Devin Oliver called for the foul. Emmanuel Kache, 4 of his 6 rebounds are on the offensive glass tonight. And same with Kevin Tumba, who's been ejected. Oliver goes out. So Booker at the free throw line. What was unfortunate about Kevin Tumba is that Murthia had surged into a 10-plus point lead. And just because of the turnover, there was no need for him to commit that push at the end of the first half. It just didn't make sense. So really, you know, he deserved it. Probably, you'd have to say, the the sending off for the ejection. And there's just was not in keeping with how UQAM Murcia were playing, really. I mean, they were about ready to grab a stranglehold on the game. So 1 of 2 at the line. Both teams having some misses. Obviously, Bamford have missed 6. Now Perez misses. Seamus Hazish comes in, kept it alive, but Booker has it. Rojas. And the drive, and D'Elia once again. And it's tough keeping this Murcia team off the offensive glass tonight already. Of their 26 rebounds, 27 rebounds, almost half of them are on the offensive glass. 13 rebounds of their 27 rebounds coming off the offensive glass. And
everybody got to come back and help, man. Guards got to come steal those rebounds.
you can see some point of emphasis on that bench.
Balance, you are the point guard. You said, come back the field, because anyone in this championship, they go.
It's interesting that Murcia, despite that incredible rebounding advantage on the offensive glass, have only got 4 second chance points. So this is a Group A battle. Remember, Banvit up at the top of the standings coming into this game day, 5-1, the same record as second place Citigas Avellino, who Murcia beat already this season. Banvit are 4-2 and in third place. And there's some other good teams in this group, so every win vital, especially for the home teams. You want to protect the home court. And holding down low. Is it on Cache or Rojas? If it's on Rojas, that's number 4. Well, he kind of wrapped up. He wrapped up Attar, and then Attar kind of barreled into him. So Rojas ends up picking up his 4th foul and goes to the bench. And a key man tonight for this Murcia team, Ertassan, has come into the game. He's guarding the inbounds. And now he's got a tough assignment on Moore. Definitely surprised that they didn't try to exploit that. Now, and Seamus Hazish dumps it off to Attar. And then Hazish follows, and then Attar. So the two 19-year-olds going to work. Back to a 6-point game. Booker back out to Ertassan. Ertassan gets inside, puts it up late in the shot clock, as he is wont to do. And the ball goes back over to the home side. How important has Ertassan been tonight? Well, I'll tell you. Just called a foul on Murcia, on a technical foul on Javier Juarez. So Moore goes to the free throw line. That interesting free throw shot, free throw attempt, form, and makes it. So it's back to a 5-point game. Well, he was barking something. The way his expression is, he's surprised it's been called. I wonder if maybe it was just his reaction that the referees didn't appreciate. Maybe he was seeking some clarity. An offensive foul called on Attar. Three fouls on him. I don't think that's going to be a crisis situation if he goes out of the game for Bamford. They just want to get some good minutes from him, but more importantly, that is the loss of the possession. Booker puts it up, and again, Kache, boy, he is not giving up on those rebounds, is he? But not able to corral that one. Two and a half minutes remaining here in the quarter. Bamford hanging around, now down by just 5 points. Seamus Hajas goes baseline, back outside to Moore, over to Perez, and looked like Olsen got a block. Another one for the wily veteran Booker. And Hajas is not going to be fooled. Look, he gets him with the ball handling. Up to Hajas, and thought for a minute there he might have traveled. Then he waited for Ertasun flying in, and he took the foul, took the contact. Watch this. Boy, Hajas is just active and gets him very alertly. So Hajas did a good job of waiting. I thought they were going to call travel. But he goes to the line, makes the first, and it's back to a 4-point game. This Bamford team has not gone away. And it's not surprising, but it's also not surprising that their free throws have been an issue tonight. Kache goes to work, lays it up and in. But good position there from Attar. And Kache called for the foul. Called for the charge. Oh yeah, he kind of cleared out with his left hand, or his left elbow. So he goes out and D'Elia comes back. Three fouls on Kache. You remember Kevin Toumba fouled out late in the first half with the dangerous foul, the disqualifying foul. Getchim. Seamus Hajas comes around, gets the ball. Now Perez. And Attar stays with it, puts it up and in. Back to a 2-point game. It's game on, folks. It's game on here in Bandirma. Seeing a little bit of Argentinian fire there from D'Elia.
No te puedes meter debajo. No puede.
Bamford winning this third quarter to make it a game. Remember, Murcia went up by 11 points. see the shooting numbers. But I'll tell you what, on that UConn Murthia bench, things getting a little testy. We saw D'Elia, then we saw Booker asking for clarification on what the coach wanted. And watch Attar here. Good work from him on the offensive rebound, then the putback. Murthia coming in after an impressive 22-point home win over Obradoro. Here's Booker at the line. His shot is not on right now. Missed a couple of jumpers. He's now 3 of 9 from the floor, having a tough game. And Mackenzie Moore misses from deep. Now Booker. If I'm Banvit, I think I might even sag a little bit on Booker and make him hit the jump shot. Seamus Hodges whistled for the foul. That's team foul number 4 on Banvit. So no free throws yet with 34.4 seconds to go here in this third quarter. Pass down low to D'Elia for the two-handed jam. That was a big-time move and a big-time play from Murthia. Entry pass to Attar. Final seconds ticking off the clock. And Murthia grabbed the rebound. They've got to hurry. So good answer there right at the end. Also defensively from Murthia, but great pass inside to D'Elia for the two-handed dunk. And UConn Murthia back in front, 51-47, 10 minutes remaining. Well, the three-point shooting has been a huge difference tonight, but Murthia not really drilling him in that quarter. You see 13 of 33 inside the arc for Banvit, 15 of 36 for Murthia. Banvit, where they've, well, kind of messed up is at the free throw line, 15 of 22. 68% is not bad. They've gotten better, but if, you know, they make a few more free throws, you know, we got a tie game. They make 4 more free throws. Well, I tell you, D'Elia, for my money, has impressed tonight. He just looks a different player this year. He's got 8 points, 3 rebounds, and assists tonight. Doesn't really force it. There he shows his good left hand. And I'm sure as we look at the highlights, Sergio Hernandez will be interested in watching his Argentina national team coach how well D'Elia is playing right now, because they need him to step up big time Argentina as they try to qualify for the World Cup, and then obviously once they go to the World Cup, if they make it. Fourth quarter underway. Murthia on top by 4 against Banvit, a team that never gives up. Olesen to D'Elia, beautiful bounce pass. What a finish! Finish by Rudish. And Seamus Hodges misses on the baseline. I'll tell you what, that last play that we saw by Murthia, quite possibly the play of the game for me. And now, Ortazan goes down and draws the foul from Perez, and he will go to the line. And Ortazan makes the first one. Remember, Banvit closed the gap to 2 points. But since that point, since that moment, Murthia have gone on a run. So 6 unanswered points now for UQAM Murthia. Good spin, and I tell you what, Getchim had nowhere to go. He kind of lost control of it and was able to throw it off of Murthia out of bounds. And the interesting thing with the loss of Tumba is, don't forget, Rudish can come out and even log some minutes down in that low post defensively, guarding a bigger player. And he's in the lineup right now. Miss, and D'Elia with another rebound. Very impressive performance by D'Elia, who again delivered that bounce pass and got the assist on that terrific play at the start of the fourth quarter for Murthia. Ortazan goes right at Booker, hands it off to Olesen, and boy, they dodged the bullet that time, Banvit. Seamus Hodges, wow, kept his balance, put it up and in for the layup. And the deficit back to 6. Now Booker, over to Danyan Rudish. D'Elia again, beautiful footwork, and draws the foul from Tolga Getchim. Well, Getchim has played well tonight, but he picks up his 3rd foul. You see Clough comes back into the game for Olesen. Clough struggled a little bit in that first half. Might have been guilty of forcing it a little bit. And D'Elia continues a worrying trend now from Murthia. Misses the free throw. They're now 5 of 8, 5 of 9. And leaves the door open here for Banvit. Tolga Getchim drives, D'Elia comes up with a steal, passes it out to Booker. Alley-oop pass, oh my! The dunk right off the bench from Charlon Clough. Bounce pass, and the answer, the Morgan throwdown. D'Elia up high, gets it to Rudish. Well, I can tell you right now, folks, you're going to see Charlon Clough dunk in the top plays of the week. And Seamus Hodges comes up with it, shot clock down to 5. Moore fumbles it, Clough gets it, hands it off to Booker. Now Booker explodes, puts it up with his left hand. I don't know if he thought he was going to get a call there. Otherwise, you pull that back out as the point guard. Not a good decision by him. Tolga Getchim misses, and D'Elia grabs the board. And now almost a steal by Perez. Thought Perez might be ready to take over the game in the third quarter. It didn't happen. Clough drifts into the lane. Now the rebound, Morgan over to Getchim. Banvit trailing by just 6. Here's Perez, and the twisting reverse layup brings Banvit back to within 4 points. How can this be? It seemed like Murcia starting to get to grips with the game, and they're only up 4. A couple of questionable shots on recent possessions. Clough. Booker misses badly. And Perez drives in, another tough drive. That's what I'm talking about right there. The last couple of aggressive moves from Perez, and just like that, Banvit have clawed it back to a 2-point deficit. Okay, let's listen for the words of wisdom. Well, not going to get him yet. We'll go over to the other bench. Boy, Banvit have taken a lot of free throws in comparison to Murcia. Rebounding. Banvit with those 12 offensive rebounds tonight, so both teams doing a good job on the offensive glass. This is the Basketball Champions League. You see these fans really getting into it, and that was the alley-oop, the pass, perfection, and unfortunately, well, fortunately rather for Seamus Hazes, I don't think he was really posterized on that play, was he? It was a great play by Clough. Morgan answered, though, with immediate effect, and it was Moore with the bounce pass. Moore with 13 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists tonight. Also a couple of steals. Less than 5 minutes remaining, Clough. Ortosan, Sadio Rojas, and they heard that one back in the Dominican Republic. The three-pointer, and also back in Murcia, quite clearly, that was big time coming out of the timeout. And now Morgan comes up and commits the offensive foul. Tries to set the pick on Clough. And Gergen thinks, we were so close. And now it's a 5-point deficit again, and they've got the ball. 4.5 minutes remaining. Plenty of time in this one. Plenty of time for Banvit. They got to make a play on defense, and now down low, Ulusoy, I believe, has been whistled for a foul, holding on Clough. 22 years of age, Ulusoy. And now an offensive foul. Moving screen. Called on Kache. That is his 4th. I'll say one thing about UConn Murcia. They use up their fouls, don't they? In terms of foul trouble now, Kache has 4, Rojas has 4. And Kache just rejects it. Get it out of here, he says. Here he is, says, don't bring that weak stuff in here. Moore from a long way out. Kache boxing out, and I think a foul has been called on Oliver. No, it's on Morgan. And that sends Kache to the free throw line. And Kache makes a very important free throw as UConn Murcia try to hold on here. Remember, they lost last week at MHP Reeves in Lewisburg by a single point. And Kache makes the second. And hard drive and the rejection by Kache. What a play. And then he looks at Moore and says, don't even think about bringing that in. Well, that's got to be a highlight reel block as well. Unbelievable. See this move down low and the hold on Banvit, who trailing by 7 points. Ulusoy goes out of the game. And Otasan is at the free throw line. Well, I tell you, he misses that one. I tell you, we've seen a couple of we've just seen some really eye-opening play with his rebounding and his shot blocking tonight. Emmanuel Kache. Look at him down there scrapping, and 2 costly misses from Urtasun. They could have gone up by 9 points. Instead, the deficit remains at 7. Banvit need a bucket, and they need it now. Devin Oliver. And Devin Oliver almost fumbled it away. Hands it off, and to Morgan, who couldn't dunk it over Kache, but then Seamus Hodges picks up the garbage and scores. So they were lucky on that one, Banvit. Morgan went for the dunk, was unsuccessful. Now Rojas. Can this Murphy team close the deal? Urtasun goes up for 3, and good job by Perez knocking it over to Moore. Perez penetrates, goes up, and scores right as he's closely guarded by Kache, who's been protecting the rim like nobody's business. And now it's a 3-point game for Banvit. They've got that refuse to lose look on their faces all of a sudden again. So Cliff back to the line. Remember, Murcia has struggled at the free throw line tonight. We were saying that about Banvit earlier, but Murcia are now 7 of 14 at the free throw line. And I'll tell you what, if there's a recipe for blowing a win, it's missing free throws. And Cliff makes 1 of 2, and it's back to a 4-point lead. So Murphy now 8 of 15 at the line. And good block. I'm not sure if that was Kache or Cliff, but Banvit denied on that attempt. Less than 2 minutes remaining now. And Murcia again with a chance to land a blow. Clough gets it over to Rojas. Rudes dribbles between his legs. Shot clock winding down. Shake and bake. Puts it up for 3. Almost. Moore with the rebound. Olsen hustles back. And Olsen fouls Moore a long way from the basket, but only the second team foul on Murcia here in the fourth quarter. So timeout on the floor taken by Banvit. Trailing by 4 points, and a very important possession, as they always are, late in the games. He's had a decent night tonight. I mean, I'm sure he doesn't care about getting that 10th rebound, but when you get that double-double, 13 and 10, it always looks a little bit better, doesn't it? He's had a nice night, though. He's at plus 16. He does have 4 turnovers. Although that said, Mackenzie Moore just 3 of 10 from the floor, so he hasn't really shot it particularly well, but he's 7 of 8 at the free throw line. And he's played a lot of minutes, almost 35 minutes. 34 minutes and 46 seconds. Kache, meanwhile, has 10 rebounds to go with his 6 points. He does have 4 turnovers. And Kache also has 3 blocks. Seamus Hodges going to try to inbound it. And they get it to Perez. Clough trying to force the steal. Perez for 3. Good! 1-point game. Look at him. He can hardly believe it. And now Clough being closely guarded by Moore. Moore showing his versatility out there. He can guard probably 3 positions on the court. Olesen, bounce pass, Kache, and the rebound by Moore, and Banvit can take the lead inside the final minute. The whiff of overtime also in the air, folks. I just got a whiff of it. Here it is. Morgan turns and misses with the left hand. That would have put him in front. Now Banvit need to stop. Murcia desperate to get a basket. Banvit do not need to foul. Clearly. Shot clock down to 10. Olesen. Look for him to penetrate and dish. Oh, alley-oop. Oh, what a play, but Kache missed it. And then D'Elia had it, and it was knocked out of his hands. It's thrill time, folks. Buckle them up. Banvit with a chance to take the lead, to get the win in the final seconds. Moore to Perez, they go for the jumper! Off the back of the iron. Incredible. Was that the right play, or should they try to get something going to the basket? What a heartbreaker for Banvit. UCAM Murthia hold on by the skin of their teeth. They win it 63-62 over Banvit. Wow. Catch your breath, folks. You know, people, this day and age, you're going to pass it out to the open jumper. He was wide open, Perez. Now he's going to go home and probably lose sleep over that. And UCAM Murthia, boy, they know they are going back to Spain having dodged a big-time bullet. They left the door open and were almost punished. And now the question, if you're Moore, you have to second-guess yourself, and you wonder, should you have taken that shot yourself? You're only maybe a yard away. Or do you pass it out to the open man? And certainly Perez can hit that three-pointer. But in my opinion, in those situations, you know, so many good things can happen if you do go hard to the basket. You might make the shot. You might get the foul called on the defense. So that's why I'm wondering maybe if Moore is second-guessing himself. Anyway, Banvit, 41% inside the arc, 3 of 15 from deep, 15 of 22 at the free throw line. And you can see Murthia, their numbers. Banvit ended up shading the rebounding battle. Murthia, with those 13 assists, each team had 9 steals. Murthia were 7 of 19 from three-point range. That was a big part of their game tonight. And they won also, don't forget, losing Kevin Tumba to that disqualifying foul late in the first half. They had to hold on and showed some, I felt like, some vulnerability as they failed to close the door there. So they could consider themselves fortunate tonight. Erdogan with those 10 points. Kache had the 10 rebounds. Booker the 5 assists. Perez had 14 points for Banvit. Hazes the 2 steals. Morgan and Moore had the 4 turnovers, as well as Kache. I'll tell you, 3 blocks for Kache. He was terrific there for a while. Didn't quite get it done late. Moore 13 points, 10 for Morgan. Olesen also had 10 points to be the joint leader for Erdogan, and D'Elia had 8 points. And this place was about as rowdy as it comes, and now it's like you could hear a pin drop. That's the effects of losing at the buzzer. D'Elia catches and shoots there. He was really good. And that was a sweet play by Moore, making that pass to Morgan. Very impressed by D'Elia, by Kache tonight. But as Juarez, as he goes back to the, back home to Murthia, he has to wonder how his team blew the lead. And there were some moments. There was a phase there where I felt like they had some dubious shot selection. Early shots, not necessarily good shots. And you got to be more intelligent if you're Murthia and try to, take some time off the clock perhaps, or at least get good shots. Well, Attar battled there. I'll tell you, even though Perez missed that shot, overall tonight, I thought he was pretty solid. 6 of 17 from the floor, 2 of 7 from three-point range. He had the 14 points. Well, in fairness, I mean, he was only +3 efficiency. Only had 1 assist, a rebound, and a steal. But there were moments where he late in the game, brought him back into it. So frustration for Banvit as they fall to 4-3. And UCAM Murthia, with that's probably their play of the game right there. Alley-oop pass from Booker to Cliff. And again, Moore showing his all-around play, picking up one of his 4 assists on the night. He actually led Banvit in that department. as well as the minutes. He played 36 minutes and 19 seconds. And that was the good of Perez, getting to the basket, making the tough drives. Rojas, that was a crucial three-pointer. He played with a lot of foul trouble tonight, Rojas. Finished with 6 points. And again, UCAM Murcia hold on to win, and they go to 6-1. So they know that they'll be in first place heading into the next game day. Banvit, meanwhile, have dropped to 4-3. And Nizhny Novgorod, perhaps if they get a win this week, they can join them on 4-3. But anyway, that's the Basketball Champions League, folks. Huge road win for UCAM Murcia at Banvit here in Bandirma. Thanks for watching.